Ladies and gentlemen, the stockings are all hung by the chimney with care in hopes that episode 61 starts right now. And we are super excited for this evening. It is the week after Thanksgiving. We are just getting into the Christmas season, and we got Corey Dahl on the show, who is a good friend of all of ours. So looking forward to that this evening. My name is Josh Allen. I am the Tech Integration Specialist at Lewis Central Community Schools, Council Bluffs, Iowa. 4 wonderful kids, beautiful wife, decorated house, DIY projects outside. We'll talk about that later. But excited to be here. You know, all around good guy. Well, maybe.
I won't argue.
All right.
Argue.
Okay.
Claire.
Let me just say, first of all, we have none of our Christmas decorations up.
We don't.
We decided to do it a week later.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
This is my father.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Claire. I have 2 dogs, Miley and Buster.
Least important things yet. Okay. Who am I?
I have Devin Shoney, you are a K-12 instructional technology coach.
Yeah. Close enough.
And nothing.
What's Mom doing? Because she told me not to say what she was doing tonight.
She's cooking in the microwave.
I apparently always start by saying what she's doing, so I'm going to make sure to do that. She's out making some hot chocolate, it looks like. So.
I'm going to make a montage of it. Always get a report of
Peanut Gallery. This is the first time the Peanut Gallery has chimed in a while.
Yeah.
So
That's the official hot chocolate of the Dads and Ed podcast.
it is. I don't even know what kind it is. That's good. All right, Clay, got anything to say before you jump on out of here?
No.
All right, jump out of here then. All right, I don't know if that was clear at all, but happy to be here. Now, I do have to ask, you mentioned a week after Thanksgiving. Does anybody else feel like they need to go on a diet? I think I gained 8 pounds in the last 3 days, like legit 8 pounds.
Yeah, so we didn't have kids last week, so I wore jeans all week. So it was a little bit of a shock when I put on the old dress pants for work today. Like, oh, well, huh. Oh well.
I feel like I've actually done pretty well in my intake. I tried to watch what I ate.
Well, good for you. That makes one of the 3 of us.
Yeah. Brett Catlett here from Kansas City, Missouri area Independence Tech Director. Beautiful wife Josie and 5 amazing kids in our blended family, ranging from 10 to 1.5-ish. And looking forward to the show.
Nice. Well, if you are joining us live or you're joining us after the fact, you can connect with us anytime. Tweet at us at Dads and Ed. Use the hashtag Dads and Ed. There's always a couple things on there during our little breaks, so always happy about that. You can email us, dadsanded@gmail.com. You can actually, and I've kind of been forgetting to mention this, but because we use YouTube Live, during the show, you can actually put comments alongside of the video. So got that open. Shout out to former guest Joe Sanfilippo for surprising us about that last when we started this venture. Check out our website, dadsanded.podbean.com, to listen after the fact, or subscribe in iTunes or Google Play just by searching Dads and Ed. We are a very proud member of the Edu Podcast Network.
It's true.
A little bit more somber note. One of the things that we're always talk about here is our family and school and how those 2 things correlate. And it's been kind of a rough week for school safety. I think it was last week, if I have the date correct, last week or the week before, there was a bus accident in, I believe, Chattanooga, which killed 6 kids, if I have the stats in front of me, or if I have the stats remembered correctly. And another shooting attempt or act of violence. There's conflicting reports, I guess, now about what happened at Ohio State today. But, I heard someone talk after the bus accident that, as an administrator, and Corey Dahl is the superintendent. He's going to be joining in later tonight. They said that's always the one thing that you always worry about is what happens in between school and home. So that is one of the things that we just want to bring up tonight. Kind of get some of your feedback and throw those ideas out there.
Yeah, in our cabinet meeting today, our superintendent, we have all administrators meet once a month, and the director of transportation was there, and he mentioned in his report about the Chattanooga accident, and just discussed, how, of course, how tragic it was, but then what could we learn from it, and as I read through quite honestly, I hadn't heard it until today. And then after the meeting, I went back to my office and Googled a bunch of stuff on it and read up, and was just immediately taken back with that there were reports that the driver had been, just erratic behavior is the way I'll put it, with the way he handled kids on the bus and his driving, and a principal had kind of been emailing and reporting it, and just made me think as an administrator how important it is to take everything kind of seriously, right? Like you can't overlook what you might think, well, this person's just saying, hey, I'm concerned about this. Like you really need to investigate those things to the furthest capacity. And I know sometimes we don't always have those resources, right? So I feel terrible for the school district. I feel terrible for those families. I can't even imagine that, you're entrusting your faith in the system there as far as the transportation is concerned from the school district. And then, your kid doesn't make it home from school. Like I can't fathom that. So it's terrible on all kinds of levels. But from that, I'm in a legal class right now in my doctorate program. So I'm kind of curious to bring it up at class, here coming up in my next class to see what our professor has, what his take is on it. But because there's that aspect of this too, right? That as administrators have to worry about. So a lot in one situation going on.
The bus thing is interesting. That we had a conversation on a committee that I'm on recently. We were talking about really relationships. So mostly it was about how do we build better relationships in our school communities with parents and with families. But one thing that came up was something with bus drivers, right? And they were talking about having some issues on some buses, and how much the tone changed, the tenor changed when they had the bus drivers come into PD and were part of this conversation with teachers and with principals, and how valued they felt, right? And so how much more they were invested in knowing those kids moving forward, and how much more invested they were in trying to solve problems. I think bus drivers, it's one of those jobs that just kind of gets forgotten about, right? I mean, they're not really part of the school community, in that they're not in the buildings. And so I wonder if there's anything there, if bus drivers knew the teachers and principals and kids better, and vice versa, if the principals and teachers knew the bus drivers, if they would be anything, a situation like this, probably not. I mean, it sounds like, you're always going to have accidents, I suppose, but it seemed like that was kind of an interesting look at that, that relationship part with people like bus drivers. I think of, school, nutrition, lunch folks, and, everybody, janitors, everybody in a school who, as soon as they're invested in the kids and kind of vice versa, when they're part of the team, it might make a lot of difference.
And I think you bring up a great point. There's a difference between an accident and, what seemingly happened here. As Brent said, there had been reports made to the principal about how this person was driving, and that is too bad. And one of the things I was really impressed with, we got a new assistant principal at our elementary this year, and one of the first days of school, I happened to be walking across the parking lot, and we have probably 10 to 15 buses, and she was going around and introducing herself to all the bus drivers. Hey, if you need anything, let me know. Just I'm new here. I let me know how I can help. And so I think that's really interesting. And the Ohio State thing's a little bit different. It's intriguing to me to hear now, all of how quickly information comes out. So before they had even found the person who was responsible for this, there was tweets and pictures coming out about how the chairs were up against the door and where people were hiding. And I find it fascinating how social media can bring us news that quickly. The Sully, the pilot who landed his plane on the Hudson River. That's widely regarded as the first time that social media beat a news station to sharing news that's going on. There's a Twitter account here in Omaha, Mean Streets Omaha, or Mean Streets OMA, I think it is, that I learned about a big house fire last night, and I could follow along with it, with exactly what's going on. So, from the Ohio State perspective, the social media and how it's being used to report, I find fascinating. I don't always think it's the best thing, but it's a very different way to look at news that's coming out.
Yeah, and I think the part of that I like is that I think we have a greater opportunity now to share, obviously, and to learn about things quickly. And I've been talking to people recently just about things you see on Facebook and things that get shared on other social media spaces, and how it's not used in a way that I think we would all, the three of us for sure, would like it to be used, right? I want it to be used for things like that where I can learn quickly about what's happening, but it's also become the problem, right? So people that share on social media, I mean, I think news organizations feel as though they have to compete with people who are sharing on social media to get that scoop. So as much as I love the media, I was a media guy before I was a teacher even. It's the part of what's wrong with our media right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely agree with that. So Bill Little, friend of the show, super fan, asks, is it better to have the driver a part of the district or contracted? He says like they didn't, but I think he's like they did in Chattanooga.
Right.
I don't know if it matters. I think what matters is bringing them in. Now, it may be easier if they're part of the district to bring them in, but I think somehow building that relationship is what's key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that part, the piece of whether they feel a part of the district or not, I think is, and would that have impacted something like this or not? I don't know. It's hard saying. I think it could happen either way, but I just worry, like I said, as a kind of aspiring superintendent, perhaps, or greater assistant something in the future. Like, that's what I'm worried about. Like, okay, so what if this principal had contacted me about this issue, and I didn't follow up? Like I did. I mean, that would be a hard one for me on my conscience to be living with, like, that I didn't follow up on a situation like this. And perhaps, I don't know, I seriously was sitting there thinking of thoughts like, should someone had followed this guy when he was driving, or rode along? Like, what does it look like for evaluations of bus drivers? Like, I don't know what that looks like. I know what it looks like for educators, but and the people I work with in my department, but I'm like, I don't know what that looks like, because there were reports, and I don't know if all of this is true or not, but he's slamming on the brakes to have kids hit their head, on the seat ahead of them, and just kind of random stuff like that. That, you guys know how it is as a parent when your kid's coming home with, teacher said this or principal did. You're gonna probably err on the side of your child telling the truth,
right?
Because oftentimes they're bringing home the truth, whether we like that or not. And so it's just interesting to think about. Again, like, so here are these parents kind of raising concern about this driver, and then it kind of gets to a point where the principal notices him, flying out of the parking lot faster than he should have. I mean, just stuff like that, that seemed like there was some writing on the wall. It reminds me of all these school shootings and things. It's like there were things on the wall that people ignored instead of addressing, but then, of course, there's the other side saying, oh, he was a great guy, parenting himself, and yada, yada, yada. So what do you believe? I don't know, but
yeah,
because that's something I'm worried about right now too, is what do I believe online? Like, and this is kind of back to what you were saying with media, with all this stuff with the politics going on. And fake news stories. And, you know, I don't know. I just worry about what the heck can I believe anymore?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that it's very hard to figure out the truth in situations like those. Both of those, obviously, tragic situations. But like so many other things we've talked about, building relationships can go a long way to helping out both of those situations. So, all right, moving on to the dad moment of the week. We mentioned that we have the house fully decorated. I had a wonderful break. You guys know those present ornaments you put outside? They look like big boxes of presents with bows on it. So we actually made our own. We've found some directions and just online and put two of them together. They actually were outside yesterday during the rainstorm that we had and are actually still standing and still lit. So I think that's a pretty big win there.
That's a win.
And so my son and I built that, and then my 6-year-old and I, we took a piece of wood that we had in the garage, just from an old from part of our playground, and made a joy sign with the O being a snowman. And it was really funny because my daughter goes, "Well, I didn't know you could paint," and I'm like, "Well, I mean, you know, I can't really color inside the lines, but if it's a blank canvas, you know, I can add enough paint to make it look okay." So both of them came out great. The other thing that I'll share is it's actually on the hashtag Dads and Ed. We finally, because we didn't have to travel over Thanksgiving for the first time in forever, we were able to hit up we live in Papillion, so we were able to get to their Winter Wonderland lighting of the lights thing, shindig that they had Saturday night. Fabulous time, just great atmosphere. And I snapped a short video of my 4-year-old who was sitting on my shoulders and just her reaction as the lights come on. And someone, I don't remember if it was on where they posted it, but just talked about the wonder that she has in her eyes when all of a sudden everything goes from dark to light all around her. And it's pretty cool. I tweeted it out from my account, retweeted on Dads and Ed, and used the hashtag. So check that out. It was a great weekend.
Yeah, it was a cool video, Josh. I really enjoyed seeing that. It's so cool to think about from her eyes, you know, her perspective. So I think you really captured that well, and yeah, that was super cool.
Thank you.
Mine moment, so the family, just my crew here, as I call them, Cats Crew 7, we went down to the Ozarks and stayed at my parents' condo for Thanksgiving and kind of that long weekend, and just got to do tons of great things and relax and hang out with my family. And no offense to any of my other family members that might listen to this show some point in their lives, but it just was great to kind of connect with our crew. And I think for me, my moment came just in fishing with the kids, and kind of passing that along to them and their excitement for wanting to do it, and actually their patience. Like, I was pretty impressed with, as little as my kids are, they're relatively patient about trying to catch a fish. And of course, if you can get one, we're just going after like bluegill, you know, right? Just worming it up. And so it's hilarious to the kids won't touch worms except for my one boy, Charlie. And so just I really enjoyed the quiet and peacefulness of the lake, because at this time of the year down there's just a few people that live in the condo year round.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's a pretty quiet place. So I just really enjoyed that peacefulness of that particular vacation.
Yeah, that was cool. I saw those pictures. It looked like a good time to be down there.
Yeah, for sure. I wish it would have been a little warmer because the kids wanted to get out on the boat, but it was pretty chilly. So I was like, man, I ain't thinking that, you know, because my dad's got an inboard boat now versus an inboard outboard. So, you know, it's one of those kind of jet propulsion type boats. And so you can take it darn near year round if it's nice enough. But so I was a little disappointed the weather didn't show up like I'd hoped it would.
Yeah. Mine is something I know I've talked about before, probably around this time, is last night we had our my team, the girls basketball team that I coach. We had our team Thanksgiving out here at my house, and I always just enjoy getting those girls together with my girls, and you know, they've kind of not grown up. The last 4 years they've been around it. And I always like having them around. My basketball kids are such good kids, and it's nice to have them out and as role models for my kids and talking with my girls. And the interesting thing now is seeing, Gracie's getting old enough. She's only a year or two younger than my freshman that I have on my team. So it's always fun. We had a great time last night. Had a few of the girls came out to do a little of the cooking ahead of time. So it was kind of fun. If you've never seen a couple of 14 and 15-year-old girls try and make mashed potatoes, that was entertaining. To see them try and peel potatoes and cut potatoes and figure out when they were ready. That was kind of fun to watch. So, I would encourage that. Maybe next time I'll record the whole dang thing so people can watch. Maybe we'll Facebook Live it. But no, it was great last night, and always enjoy having that over. It's one of my favorite things to do each year.
Nice. That is a great event, great opportunity, both ways.
Well, I think, like you said, Devin, it is really what it's all about.
It is, yeah. Like I tweeted that last night or put on Instagram or something. It really is why I coach. It was the same reason I was a teacher. It's that relationship part, and trying to get to know these kids in a way that can make a difference in their lives. We don't have, a lot of our kids don't have moms and dads at home. Some of them don't have either. Some of them are. There are a lot of situations for kids, and you never know which kid needs it the most.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick shout out to last week's guest, Clay. Just got a message from him saying that he's watching. So, Corey, that's one person. We're going to get to that joke here shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so excited to be joined by Crofton Superintendent Corey Dahl. This week's guest is brought to you by Apple Music's Holiday Playlist. Check out all of your favorite holiday music in the Apple Music app. Corey, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. It's great to see you, by the way.
Yeah, you too. I started way back when, right in your neck of the woods where you're living in Papillion, La Vista. I was sitting around home in Wayne, mid-July, late July, getting to be late July. No job yet teaching. I get a call from this place, Papillion, La Vista, saying they're looking for elementary teachers. And I said, Papillion. So being from small town, Nebraska, I drove right down Dodge, right to 72nd Street and said, where's Papillion La Vista Central? and if you're from small town, everyone knows where everything is. And these guys at this gas station kind of looked at me and thought, you're lost. And he said, well, if you could just go south here, down 72nd, I think it was. It might have been 84th. I think it was 84th. They said, you'll find Papillion. So I drove down that way, stopped at a bank finally in Papillion, and when I figured the people at the bank, they'll know where Papillion La Vista Central Office was, because it was way back when it was not even where it's at now, and they didn't know where it was. So eventually, nonetheless, interviewed and got the job. Started my teaching career in Papillion and got my first principal job there. And then years later, we moved back to Northeast Nebraska. We had started a family, and my wife was staying at home at that time. She's also a teacher, and moved to Plainview, was an elementary principal there as well. And, in a small town, you do athletic director, technology guy, the whole shebang. And then did that for 8-9 years, and then went to work for the service unit in Neely, and as a tech director, instructional tech person, and loved that as well. Meanwhile, somewhere along the line there, I added my specialist degree, and then a couple years ago, well, this is my second year, stepped into this role in Crofton as superintendent. So, I think back to all those, whether it's large school, Papillion La Vista, and my experiences as a teacher, principal, or just all the experiences from the small school setting, being an elementary principal there, an athletic director and technology person, or educational service unit, and just getting a grasp on that world, to now superintendent. Every single experience has led me to where I'm at today, and I wouldn't regret any single one of those jobs or positions that I've held.
So that's great about about that kind of part of your history. Talk a little bit about your family.
I have a wife, Becky, who is also an educator. She teaches. She's a title teacher. She loves that title reading and math because she loves to help kids, just get better at where they're struggling. She absolutely loves to do that. She started teaching in Gretna. Nebraska as a 5th grade teacher. And I have 3 kids. One just went off to college, who was just back this weekend, and we enjoy seeing him. Time has just flown by. We started teaching, wasn't married, no kids, and all of a sudden here I've got one off at college. She was also going into education. Awesome. So he's in his first year at Wayne State. My second son is a sophomore here at the high school in Crofton, and then I have a daughter who's in 8th grade this year.
Nice.
So, real quick, we were talking about our dad moment of the weeks, and I noticed that you had put up Christmas lights this weekend, which, to be honest, I've known you long enough. I'm surprised that we actually did it on the same weekend. I thought you would have done yours a couple weeks ago. But there is a rumor that your son made a shot off of the house, made a basketball shot off of the house. Explain how that went down.
Yeah, I wonder if I can get that on here somehow. I probably could.
Do you need to call a tech guy now that you're a superintendent?
Yeah, oddly, I can probably make that happen. Screen share or something. We can have to work on that here.
It's the green button with the arrow.
Screen share. Let's see. Application window.
So for those of you, and Corey alluded to the fact that he, did instructional technology, for ESU 8, which is where I got to know Corey. So we can give him a hard time about all this because we know that he knows what he's actually doing and can take it.
Not at this moment, I don't.
Well, no, because there's a whole lot of windows going on right there.
No,
This makes great for the audio. This is great visuals for the audio podcast. You just keep doing whatever, and we'll explain how many windows you now have open.
Well, it's never ending now, and it won't stop.
And while Corey's doing that, I want to point out for people that aren't watching, that might listen later, he's really classed the place up tonight too with the tie going on.
Yeah.
I sit around home like this. I'm not kidding you now. I cannot close this never-ending window.
I wonder if I can.
You only got 55 more to go. Just keep clicking.
It won't let me hide it. It won't let me stop sharing it. I'm going to ruin Google tonight. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and come back in. I don't know what else.
All right.
See you later.
As a former tech guy, reboot, man. Restart. I'm closing this out, and I'll come back with my story.
Sounds good.
Oh, man. Too good.
That is fantastic.
Won't even let me close it.
Get out. Kill page.
Control W.
He go.
Oh,
usually it's one of us. It's kind of fun.
That is kind of fun. That's
Bill Little, if you're watching, let's be clear. That was nothing that we did. That was all. That was all Corey.
Actually was the guest tonight. We there's nothing we did there.
And he admitted to it, which is the best part. We don't have to lie about who's
We got that
really
on
was.
audio. Yeah.
Oh man.
Now we just have to rely on the fact that he knows how to get back in. Oh, there he is.
And we're back.
Welcome back, Corey. We didn't even really have to fill.
I'm trying to screen share it now, but nonetheless, yes, it's a great video. So we're up on top of the roof, and it's 55 degrees, and it was great. And I drugged my 2 boys out there, and we put up all the lights. And while we're done, oddly enough, it wasn't the kids that suggested we should shoot, hoops from the top of the house. It was me. So I climbed down the ladder and threw the ball up, and I swear it was one take, one shot, and we got it on video. It's my son, and he says LeBron as he's shooting, and it swoosh goes in. That was my dad moment of the week. It was great. I swear, one take, nothing but net. What else do you say?
Very cool.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. You'll have to share that to the Dad's Night hashtag, perhaps, Corey, later if you got it on YouTube or something. I'd like to see that.
I will. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Corey, talk to us about, you mentioned you're an ESU consultant. Those listeners outside of Nebraska that might be listening to this, talk to them about what ESU is in Nebraska and perhaps how that kind of helped you in your own career, kind of moving forward.
Right. Educational service units, they might be called area education agencies, or, they're called different things, I think, in different states. But in Nebraska, they're called ESUs, educational service units. And basically they serve area schools. There are several within the state of Nebraska, and then each educational service unit serves an area. So I covered a wide, about 18 school districts in Nebraska, and they're full of educators that help teachers do whatever. So you might have staff developers that, can help. They might have a specialty more in curriculum or a curriculum and assessments, and somebody else like myself might be a former teacher, former principal, tech person, and who just wants to help the schools where they're at in their technology, moving them forward. We at the service unit in Neely, we also had nurses, but most have speech pathologists, school psychologists, and those sorts of things. Basically, they're there to help schools.
Gotcha.
And how that, I really, really enjoyed that job. It was difficult leaving that, and because I just enjoy, getting out, and I enjoy helping people, and I really loved what I did there. But there comes a time then, when even though you're loving it, an opportunity comes up like Crofton, and it was just it felt right. Even though my son last year was a senior, which was hard, and somebody said if you wait until the perfect timing, to go somewhere to try and get a job, you'll never go. You'll just continue to wait and wait and wait. So here, this job came open at this great school here, because of course we'd done our homework, in the school setting and in the community and things like that. And we knew it'd be fine moving to son as a senior. And we also had to look at him individually and say, okay, what kind of kid is he, and will he handle it? And he, of course, handled it better than frankly I did when we moved when I was a freshman. I was ready to revolt and move back and jump ship, because I liked it where I was at. So I was very aware of that. But the service unit job, it was fun because each day was different. Each day, you're at a different school, you're helping somebody with a different problem. And then typically if you can go there as a tech person and help them or explain something to them or just get them going as to where they want to go, if you do your job, then they're happy and you go home and everything's fine. It's just such a different world than, what I'm doing now as far as superintendent. It's you're in the same school setting, but I'm just taking all those experiences I had with either people or problems or questions and applying it to the school now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would imagine that job would have helped you, particularly coming in as a superintendent, just having dealt with so many different diverse districts and places and schools and people, because ultimately your job as superintendent, you're handling lots of people and kind of managing all of that sort of stuff. And I'm sure it served you well in that realm. And so I was really happy to hear you talk about too, that the realm of your family moving. I haven't talked about this a lot on the show, but my move to Missouri, to Kansas City, has been really a great move for our family. And I recently met a gentleman that we kind of have as a vendor for our one of our vendors in the district, and he's a great guy. I've gotten to know him, and we were having this conversation about moving in general, and he is moving and their kids are older. And I often hear people talk about how, I can't move the kids. And I understand that. I get it. And I'm not trying to discount it in any way, but I also honestly my kids are younger than yours, but I want them to know that it's okay to change, and that regardless of their age, whether they're an 8th grader in high school or a 1st grader, that it's okay, and I think that you're modeling that in essence by taking on this new role and this opportunity for you professionally, but also for your family.
Right. It was really a big discussion as to were we going to move him or do we let him stay there? Just because, he'd been in Plainview. We actually moved up there just before he entered school. So it was there, from kindergarten through 11th grade, and to move someone as a senior. But that was also part of the homework. That was also part of understanding the community that I was interviewing at, understanding the school, the type of kids there, and the success that they had. You know what I mean? Just all. And then of course, you do that homework, but then you still have to just hope that it's going to go well. And also, you'd have to look at, in our case, you just look at your own children. And I knew that as a senior that he would handle it well. I mean, I just knew it, and he did. He'd handle it far better than I would have ever expected. So, I don't think, for some that may be right and some that may not, but I think you just have to look at each situation, each family setup, and the makeup of each kid. I have 3 kids, and they're all different in many ways. But as a senior, he came in and made friends. I think it was important too that we moved here late May, so he was around all summer, lifted weights with kids. We're up on a lake, so he got to hang around some kids at the lake and things like that, and and met people well enough to, which surprised us, that he was homecoming king for the football season. And what a great way to welcome a new student to a community. But that also says something about who he is as a person too. So not only did he not handle it well, but he had some recognition right away of just being who he is. So and now he looks back at it now, and what a great training, so to speak, for college. I mean, he moved last year, met new kids, had lots of great experiences up here. Now he knows that many more people, and now he's off at college and he's meeting more people. So it's just kind of, it's kind of what you do. Each place you go, you meet someone new, and you still keep all your old friends and you make new ones. And I couldn't be happier with the move for our family.
Well, speaking of being recognized and your school district, recently Crofton was recognized as a Blue Ribbon School District. First of all, congratulations. That's a huge honor that obviously not only a handful of schools get, in a single year. So talk a little bit about you and some of your staff getting to go to DC, and what does that mean, to a small town, to a small community like Crofton? Right.
It's a big deal. I don't know if you're aware of Crofton, but for those who aren't, the Crofton is very successful in many, many ways. And this isn't just the superintendent guy talking. They are very successful. They've won the last, they didn't win, cross country, like for instance, didn't win this year, but they won the previous 10 state championships in a row. Our girls basketball the last 5 years in a row. If there was a state championship for art, I am not kidding you, our art kids would win it. That's about all I can say. That our band is small because we're a small school, but they are mighty. They come in and they go to marching contests, and you almost can see and hear other schools sort of snicker and look at that tiny band, and they start playing and marching, and they win the competition against big bands. You know what I'm saying? So everything that they do up here, including academics, which is what I'm getting to your question about the Blue Ribbon School, including academics, they do it and they're successful at it. The football team just went to the state finals this year. The list just go on and on and on. Our FFA program is outstanding. I just even hesitate to even start to mention things I don't want to forget anybody. But what the Blue Ribbon, you can win a Blue Ribbon award in different ways. You can for improvement. So if you're a low school and have made some really fantastic improvements, you can get a Blue Ribbon Award. And another Blue Ribbon Award is just for excellence in your assessment scores and things like that. So they've maintained high academics here as well. And what that basically is a recognition for having high scores and maintaining them as well. So bottom line is we have great families here who raise great kids, right? I mean, that's what it starts with. And we had a Blue Ribbon celebration the other night, and I tried to thank every group. We have I thanked the parents because it started with them. It starts with them reading to their kids. That lap time, we talked about lap time, and talking to them, and then supporting the school. And then when they get into elementary school, I thank the elementary teachers for what they do, because everything they do at that level follows, carries over through the junior high and the high school, and that's where they had those assessment scores, and that's what got us that. So then you thank the high school teachers, but also, I thank bus drivers. Earlier, you guys were talking about bus drivers. I think bus drivers, they are the people that a lot of our kids, first person they see from the school district in the morning. And most days, if they ride the bus home, that's the last contact they have with school too. Yeah. So I thank them. I thank the cooks. I thank our custodians because they take care of our facility here. It just goes on and on and on. So it was a big deal. I mean, I was equating the Blue Ribbon Award to a state championship. And I had some other people, which I love, hearing this, they said, well, I think it's more than. I mean, what are we all about here? We're all about academics, but all those sports are nice too, and it is fantastic. but we're here for academics, and for us to get acknowledgement for that, it was a big deal. So we got to go to Washington, D.C. They invite you out there to get the award and spend a few days there attending meetings, talking with people, from large school districts and small. We rode a bus back down to the airport with some people from Alaska. And just it's great meeting others and talking about what it is that they do. A lot of the same struggles, no matter where you're at, the size of the school, maybe just a larger scope.
Yeah.
Then of course we did some touring around. We were actually in the White House there on election day, which was a lot of fun. That wasn't part of the award ceremony, but we knew someone there who got us in. So it was really a unique place, especially this year. Just to be in there on that day. And it was pretty quiet actually that day. It was a little bit eerie. It was much more chaotic and wild the next morning, honestly.
Well, Corey, I'm curious, you kind of started to answer maybe this question already with that answer, but because you've been in so many different roles in schools, whether it was teacher or principal or with the ESU and now as superintendent, what do you think are the most important things to have for a successful, flourishing school district? I think from the seat of superintendent, there are a lot of hats that you wear as the superintendent. But what's kind of like the number one thing you think it takes for a school community to be really successful and flourishing?
Oh gosh, a lot of those things that I was talking about, thanking everybody. I mean, honestly, and I think that's what you're referring to. What does it take? It takes supportive people at all levels. When I'm referring back to each of those, whether it's office staff here or the cooks. I mean, our cooks smile and they're helpful and friendly and they work with efficiency and they care about their job. And that's part of the day, and the office staff is friendly and helpful. The teachers care, the parents care about their kids and they raise kids that care. It's just all in one. The Board of Education, for goodness sakes, I'd be remiss honestly to not thank them or mention them, because when we go to them with ideas, when we say we want to do this or try this, they're supportive of what we do. Now they're not just sitting there saying yes to everything we do, and they ask great questions, but they are. I don't battle with them, and we don't battle with them because everyone just has this understanding of the greater things we want to do here, and we're all working together towards a common thing, and we just want to be the best at what we do. And whatever it is, you do it. And it's just a really, and having been in an ESU and in various places in the state, it's not always like that. This is a very unique place. I feel just extremely fortunate. Quite honestly, when I applied, I thought, well, there's going to be many, people with more experience and whatnot that are going to get this, but I'll throw my name in. Why not? And so. Not only just to get an interview, I was happy with that, but then to get the job and be here, I just feel like I've, just hit the lottery, hit the jackpot. And now my goal is to not only take them from where they're at, but continue to add my things to it. One area that I'm not saying they're super low at, but one area that they're not as high in is tech use. And that brought me back to my previous position, all this, whether it's the NETA organization, I used to, be on that, sat on that board. I still attend that, and we'll be taking teachers again to the NETA conference. There's a shameless plug there for you, Josh.
Much appreciated.
Hey, anytime. But, I just want to continue to take what they've already got going here and add some more pieces. They need some more tech in their toolbox. Tomorrow, we're setting up, we've bought new laptops for teachers. We're getting, iPads. We've had to upgrade, wireless and do all those sorts of things. So I'm adding my piece to this, not only doing that, but just continuing with the great things they have going here.
That's fabulous, Corey. That was just going to follow up with that question around kind of what are you going to bring to the table at a district that's already been so successful and has had a great track record. So
right,
that's awesome, and I'm excited for you, brother. I know we got a chance to visit in ISTE and. Really just love to watch you from afar and wish you the best of luck. We have another question here that we wanted to ask you. There was a time, once upon a time, that in Norfolk, Nebraska, our good friend Mickey Mueller had asked some of us, you included, Josh and I, to come up for a and,
all right. Sorry. Go on, tell the story. I love this story.
Hey, sit down. So, I believe we're leading a Google search session, there was a lot of sessions offered, but yours was Google search, power search, or something to that effect. You can speak to that.
I don't know what it was because I wasn't there.
Neither.
Nobody was. Do you want me to
find somebody who was? But
Shall I continue the story?
Sure, go ahead.
But yeah, so needless to say, you being the great sport that you are, and I want to point that out, that you took a selfie of yourself in the room, and unfortunately, no one came to your session.
So Norfolk, pretty big. It's a Class A school if you're not familiar with it, and I blame Mickey Mueller. So if she's listening, I blame her for putting me out there. No, so I'm there, and they put me. It was way off in Timbuktu, and that was fine, and I didn't even care about that. So no one's there, and then so I, of course, rather than wandering around and feeling sorry for myself, I grab the camera and take a picture of me with the empty room and post it because, I like to poke fun at myself, and that's I like to do that sort of thing and have fun. So I do that. And how many years ago was that? 8?
It's been a while, yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8. It was a while ago, and it's still around. Whenever there's an empty room anywhere, people still tweet at me and say, Corey Dahl's talking. So I did that, and then one of the assistant superintendents came into the room because, as they do, they're walking around to make sure everything's okay and people are in the rooms. And I'm there drinking coffee and answering email. I'm actually giddy because I've got an extra 45 minutes. I'm not only am I not upset, I'm loving it because no one came. I can answer email, do something else. He comes in, he's just, I'm so sorry, Corey. He says, I apologize. Don't worry about it. Oh, but my friends, quote, never like that.
That is
that's one of my favorite stories, honestly. Other than that, and sober with pants, but that's another story.
Oh man! Well, I did share with you that another former guest, Scott McLeod, actually tweeted pretty much the same picture over the weekend that he had a session that no one showed up with. So Scott McLeod, has finally reached Corey Dahl status.
I know it is status to behold. You should not only think poorly of yourself if that ever happens to you, but you have to take a picture, post it. You have to do that kind of stuff.
Yep.
It is. There's been
you gotta have fun.
Well, it is a lot of fun, and we're glad that you can take it. And I've been in a few rooms with 1 or 2 people. I've been in the basement of Norfolk High School during a similar event. So definitely, it's always a good time.
It is. And you know what? Norfolk had heard me enough. They wanted to hear other people like Josh and whoever else was there. Pat, were you there that day?
Yeah, I was. I was there.
Yeah, you had a full room. See, they want to hear you. They don't want to hear the locals. I was a local, so they, now that you live south, you're probably, you're gonna have to get true cash to come up here and do that kind of stuff.
I'm a true prophet now. What is the mile rule?
Yeah, we did have a chance to talk at ISTE, and I'm excited for you and your doctorate. That's exciting work, and I tell you what, this last year and a half has been a lot. Everything that I spoke about that I've learned, you'd be surprised at how much you don't know too. You get in there, you start talking about budgets, right, and how the entire budget works, and different types of funds and billing and you need a boiler, really? Okay. Roofs and things like that. But I've enjoyed that, I didn't ever think that I wouldn't like the budget part, but I'm surprised at how much I like it. It's interesting, but it's how you can help direct. It seems boring, but you can help direct, obviously, where funds go and what you're funding is what's important, kind of thing. So it's been fun to help push through some of that stuff that, that I feel is important and that the board feels important, like technology. They acknowledged it in the surveys that were gathered when they were ready to interview superintendents from community, from teachers, from students, from board members. They need more tech. So now being able to, use some budgetary planning to say, we're going to do this, and here we go. And then that's where my previous experience in the tech stuff helps guide that. Otherwise, because there's a lot of questions, as you guys know, about which way do you want to go with tech? Why do you want to, the order in which you need to do it? And so it's been good. we had our school improvement visit last year. You're on a 5-year cycle. And they were able to come in and continue that thought too when they're talking with people, is that, I'm hearing that a lot of people want to do, more and more with tech. So I used last year as a year to listen, a year to watch, to see how things happen, to continue to gather some momentum for this. And then this year we started to implement some more changes with it. So I think it's equally important when you go into a new position is to not come in and change. I mean, who am I to change? You heard me describe Crofton, right? Who are you, kind of thing. So they didn't say that, but I'm just saying, who would I be to come in and right away say, oh, you guys are doing this all wrong? Because they'd had 10 state championships in a row. Their band already was fantastic. Their art program was amazing. Their scores were already high. Their parents and the board are already functional. So you just come in and look and listen and watch, take some time, start to plant some seeds of ideas. And I was really glad that we were on year 5 where the external came in and said, hey, here's one of our recommendations, move forward with tech. So I took all these surveys from when I interviewed. I took the external team. Then we did the Bright Bites survey. I don't know if you're familiar with Bright Bites and Clarity. That also indicated that we needed some more tech. And now year 2, even though we're halfway through the year now we're starting to gear up. So there's some momentum building. Here's my second plug for NETA. I send people to NETA. I brought them down there with me. They need to get out and go to these conferences and see what's happening out there and listen to others and just sort of, and now I'll be looking, at some point for an instructional tech person. So there's my plug for that. When people are looking, I'm going to need somebody energetic and ready to go and ready to help move us forward out here. I want to live up in God's country up by the lake.
Nice. You saying you got land there next door
Devin's building, or Brent's building his resume right now.
I'm like, hold on a second here.
Exactly. It's a great place.
You had me at Lake.
I couldn't say more. I'm the biggest cheerleader for Crofton. I got to tell you, it's just amazing. I couldn't imagine being anywhere else right now in my career than right here.
That's awesome. Hey, Corey, one thing we always like to have the opportunity to ask the people that we're lucky enough to talk to come on and join us is, this intersection of being an educator and being a parent, and really curious in like how each has impacted the other for you. So how has being a parent impacted you as an educator, and how has being an educator maybe impacted you as a parent? Because I know you talked about teaching before you even had kids.
Right. So my kids have grown up really with us in school, which has been interesting. I don't know if they know it any other way, nor do I, because I was elementary principal. My wife taught, and even in Plainview in the building. So we've been around each other. So, I think the best way I could answer that is, despite, maybe sometimes our struggles and our issues with the long days or problems at school or whatever the case is, we're not grotesquely wealthy or anything, but here's what education impact has had on my kid. Here's my kid off at college, and what does he say he wants to do? He wants to teach. So, I mean, what more do you say than that? Than he saw what we do and saw that we enjoyed what we do and saw the importance of it. And also, has heard us talk about, being in different schools, what's a good teacher, what's maybe not a good teacher, without getting specific, especially in my role as superintendent principal. But, kids know, they'll talk about a good teacher and they say, well, did you like that? Or how come you didn't like that? So I even think we've been able to professionally, give them, some things to think about. And I think, he'll be a great educator because, like I said, how he handled the situation in moving and his ability to talk with people. And then he has seen mom and dad work in this field and really work hard at it, and just, the joy we get out of it. So I think we've impacted one another, but also, just everything we've learned, when we talk with, when you see something happen at school, you think, wow, as an educator, I wouldn't want that to happen, or what would the parent think? Or, on the other side, if a teacher does something, even when I was out of the school for a while, when I say out of the school at the service unit, you'd see and hear something and think, wow, I don't want, my superintendent to do that, or I don't want my principal to act or say or do those things. So I would say just in being dad, but yet still being in schools, I think that's helped develop me. If you see somebody do or say something that you think, wow, that's really not very good, I think I don't want to ever do that as a superintendent myself. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I think it's gone both ways, really.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Corey, we got a few other things that we need to run through. Do you have time to stick around? We see you're in your office, so.
Yeah, well, I am.
Is that where superintendents sleep now?
Well, right. Well, oddly enough, part of the superintendent job too is being active in the community. And right before this meeting, I had a Q125 meeting downtown. So I just stayed in town, and because I live 10 miles north. So I just stayed in town and went to that Q125 meeting and excused myself from that and came in here. So yeah, that's all part of it.
Look at us, taking precedence over the Q125 meeting. That's quite an honor, sir.
Noted. Yes.
All right, we're going to talk about a blog post, article, book, a video, or YouTube channel. So if you can come up with anything, you're more than welcome to chime in. Just butt in whenever you get a chance. So.
Okay.
All right, I'm up first with a blog post and article of the week, and mine I found this morning. Nebraska business educator Shelley Mulwinkle, who Corey knows, posted on her. It's not an educational post. She has a blog called Mustard Seed Like Faith, and basically she was talking about how her word of the year. As people will pick a word for the year, and hers was fearless. And so she thought it was going to be all of these, crazy things that she was going to do and really step outside of her box. And she said, what it really turned out to be is, she's found that not doing as much is really what is stepping outside of her box. She's not signing up for every committee, and she's not, running around all the time and doing all this stuff. So I thought it was a really interesting, honest response. Angie Fedone, who is a friend of mine, she's a professor at Concordia University, I think, in Seward. I had shared the post on Facebook, and she added a picture comment that says, "Stop the glorification of busy," which is something that we've talked about a lot on here and simplifying things. So Fearless Meets Boring is the title, and I'm going to post it to the Daz and Ed hashtag with Shelley's Twitter accounts on there too. So she's fabulous. Make sure to check that out. Devin, you're up next.
Yeah, so mine was to share a video or YouTube channel this week, and I'm going to share a video, and it's one that I go back to a lot, and I was kind of reminded of it today as I was working with some teachers in my district, middle school and high school teachers, and it's the video, obvious to me, amazing to others, very short little video, but the point of the video is that sometimes we probably shy away from sharing the things that we're doing in our classrooms or in our schools because of the belief that, everybody's doing that, or, it's obvious to me, it's something that doesn't need highlighted, whatever it is. And it's that idea that what's obvious to me is sometimes amazing to others. Somebody else will look at something I'm doing, or if a teacher in a classroom, something they're doing, that they'll share, and somebody else will look at it and say, gosh, I never thought of doing it that way, or I never thought of doing that with my kids. And so I go back to that all the time, and I was just reminded of it today. It's only a minute and a half, very short video that I wanted to share. So Obvious to Me, Amazing to Others by Derek Sivers. I will tweet it out now.
All right.
I did.
Corey, we're going to put you on the spot. Did you, anything that you need to shout out while we're here? You're muted. Call your tech guy. You're muted.
My choices are a blog post or just something that we've
article, seen. Book you've read lately, book you're having, if you're doing a staff book thing, video you've shared recently.
One thing that I shared recently, I've got it here, hang on, a saying that I shared with teachers was a saying that has been a favorite of mine. And it was, have you guys heard the starfish? Well, if you haven't, I'm going to read it to you now. It's short.
All right.
Every day an old man walked the beach with a pail, picking up starfish. that had been washed in by the tide and throwing them back into the sea. One day, a young boy stopped the old man and asked, "Why do you throw the starfish back? It doesn't matter. You know, they're only going to wash up on the shore again tomorrow." And so the old man picked up the starfish out of his pail and threw it as far as he could out into the sea and says it mattered to that one. And that was how I ended my blue ribbon ceremony of the night, because I thanked, again, all the teachers and parents for every little thing that they do. And you don't think that maybe what it is you're doing, helps, but it matters to that one kid, whatever if it's a smile, if it's a comment, if it's a pat on the back, or whatever it is. So that was and if you Google that starfish story, or if you Google "it mattered to that one," you'll find plenty of pictures out there and versions of it. But and so I gave each teacher, that saying and then a pin. So I see a lot of them wearing the pin. And of course, I don't have mine on tonight, but it's just become a saying that I've heard, and it's stuck with me. It mattered to that one. So that was my ending message. Just continue to do what you do for kids, even if it's just the littlest thing. And even if you can't get to all of them, sometimes we want to think that we can help every single kid all day, every day, but just continue to help the one that you're with at the moment, and then move on to the next one and help as many as you can.
Absolutely. That is a great little poem saying there. So Thanks for sharing that.
Thanks.
All right. I got a little too excited there. I muted myself a little too early. We are sorry, Brent. I'm jacked up for the mic drop.
It's all good.
All right.
Okay. I'm thoroughly convinced at this point in my career that one of the biggest issues we deal with, particularly in the realm of educational technology, is mindset. Many teachers and administrators operate in a fixed mindset instead of a growth mindset. We can no longer operate our schools with an old school, fixed industrial mindset. Times have changed. It's 2016 and soon to be 2017. It is incumbent upon us as educators to step up our game and keep evolving with the ever-changing world that often has a great deal of connectedness and technology within it. I challenge you to ask yourself, when's the last time you learned something new or tried something outside of your comfort zone? There's a great big world out there, and we must, as educators, as models for our students and children, expect more from ourselves and do better.
Nice. Well done. Wow, we're getting good at this stuff.
Man, that was really good. You know what, Catlett, I don't care what Josh says. You're okay.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.
Oh, on that note, we're going to end this evening. We are back in 2 weeks with author, educator AJ Giuliani. Corey, for all the grief that we give you, we're very lucky to have you on. Very lucky to know you, and look forward to catching up with you soon. Thanks for taking some time out of your evening tonight.
Thanks. My pleasure.
Thanks, Corey.
Thanks, Corey.
Hey.
All right, we'll see everyone in 2 weeks.